You all should be proud. Not just the students, but the parents, uncles, aunts, grandparents, siblings, teachers, administrators, and the remainder of the Bronx community. Really, each and every one of you. It takes a village. If we play our cards right, then our kids will have at least 3 more graduations. Middle school, high school, and college. Though it's unfortunate, and I hate to admit this, it will be way easier to play our cards wrong than it will be to play them right. Let me say that one more time. It will be a lot easier to play our cards wrong than it will be to play them right. Today I want to spend my time giving you guys a little bit of perspective on how those cards were played in my life. By now you're probably wondering what a 24-year-old is doing at a 5th grade graduation. He's too tall to be graduating from elementary school. And let's face it, I'm not as adorable as these 10-year-olds back here. Let me let you all in on a little secret. I'm here today because Principal Perdomo over there, he said that I had to be. And when a tall, smart Latino man from the Bronx asks you to do something, you do it. Did I mention he's from the Bronx? That's right, I didn't have a choice. On a more serious note though, I'm a Queens boy. I'm the second oldest of 7 children raised by a single immigrant mother on government aid. I went through New York City's public schools, including one of the lowest performing high schools in the city, and ended up at Cornell University, one of the top colleges in the United States. And I did so with more than $300,000 in scholarships and aid. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate from college, but I did so in the top 10% of my graduating class. When I was 18, I founded what's today a multi-million-dollar education company called Practice Makes Perfect. Practice Makes Perfect is a new and cool summer school, and this year we're actually excited to be piloting a program at PS1. Our work with Practice Makes Perfect has been featured in almost every major news publication, put me on a handful of lists, including the Forbes 30 Under 30 list when I was 23, and this year I was ranked in the top 5 most influential entrepreneurs in the world under 25. And I'm here today not only because of my successes. I'm here because I know how incredibly difficult it is to grow up in New York City. I'm here because I got lucky. I'm also here because I believe that luck shouldn't dictate whether or not you're successful. If I stood here today, though, and only told you guys about everything I have going for me, you'd only have 50% of the story. In fact, I had 60 absences when I was in 7th grade. When I was a kid, if I didn't have money for something, I stole it. I was arrested twice, and I probably could have been arrested a few more times for other bad things that I wasn't smart enough to avoid. I was far from the perfect son or citizen, but I wasn't born to be a bad kid. No child ever is. And I was able to achieve, and while I was able to achieve so much so early on, so many of my friends weren't so lucky. Having grown up where I did, I recognize that our environments don't always set us up for success. That's why I started this talk by saying that it's so much easier to play our cards wrong than it is to play them right. Today I'm going to share with you all some of the experiences I've had growing up, in the hope that you can work towards creating an environment where luck isn't the main component of your child's success. Since I didn't hear anyone move, I'm assuming everyone already has their paper and pen ready to take notes. And if you don't, this is your point in my talk where you can do that. So I'll give you all a second to get it out. Now I'm just kidding. We're at a graduation, not a lecture. With that said, though, the things I'm about to share with you guys are really, really important. And if you don't catch all of them, then you guys can send me an email or tweet at me later. Here are the 5 that I want to share with you. First, as children, we give in to peer pressure all the time. As kids, we didn't want to do bad things, but sometimes we just needed an excuse not to do them. and saying my mom or dad won't let me is a valid excuse. It sounds simple, and it is, but I was rarely able to say that as a kid. Call it liberal parenting or whatever, I probably would have avoided so much trouble if my mother told me I couldn't do certain things. And here's why. My friends, they knew not to mess with an immigrant parent. For whatever reason, immigrant parents never accepted the American rule of not putting your hand on other people's children. So when we were kids, when my Dominican friend's mom, Ariel, she would always threaten him with papao whenever he was about to do something dumb. I see some of the kids smiling in here. I can see the tradition hasn't disappeared yet. And the only thing more scary than Ariel getting papao is both Ariel and I getting papao from his mom. You better believe I was ready to run. Second, my parents had no clue who my friends were. They had no idea that my friends mastered the 5-finger discount by the time they were 13. They were dealing drugs by the time they were 14, and buying alcohol by the time we were 15. As it turns out, research shows that up until a kid is 5, their parents are their most influential role models. But after 5, it's their friends. For some reason, this isn't common knowledge. So for parents, this is especially important. If your kid isn't listening to you, and they don't think that the thing you want them to do is important, get their friends to do it. Have their friends think that it's a cool thing to do. If you can convince their friends to do it, they're gonna follow suit. This might mean you have to make a little bit of an extra effort to get to know their friends, but it's gonna save you so much heartache in the long run. Third, nothing good ever happens after 9 p.m. When I think about my friends who got stabbed and died when we were teens, it was in the middle of the night. When I think about the number of times my older brother got arrested, the greater majority of them were after 9 p.m. When I think about the number of times I was drinking underage, it was after 9 p.m. It isn't foolproof. Some bad things will happen before 9 p.m., but you reduce the likelihood of those things happening dramatically based on my personal experience. And kids, now that I've told your parents this, I expect you guys to go back to them and tell your friends that they gave you the excuse that you can't hang out with anyone after 9 p.m. without adult supervision, because your parents said so. Fourth, when I was a sophomore at Cornell, I was talking to one of my friends about how people would always come into my classroom. And when I was in elementary and middle school, they would ask everyone in the classroom to raise their hands if they were going to go to college. And some of the hands would go up, and then a few more, and then eventually most of the hands were up because no one wanted to stand out. But it wasn't authentic. When I told one of my friends from college that we always got asked those questions, who by the way came from a rich family, he told me he never got asked that question before. In my mind I was thinking, what do you mean, rich kids don't have to go to college? Then he said for him the question was always, what college are you going to? The subtle difference in the way the question was asked between how many and what college made it socially unacceptable for him not to have thought that college was an option. It was the difference between making college optional and making it a must-to-do. College is incredibly important for social mobility. I would not be here today, nor my company be as successful as it is today, if I didn't attend a great college. It also isn't enough just to go to your local community college or any college nowadays. You need to strive to get into a top college, which means you need to have good grades, and you need to be involved in improving your community. More importantly, to my parents in the audience today, never ask your kids if they're going to go to college. We need to make it socially unacceptable for our kids not to go to college. They will all go. We need them all to go. And the fifth and final thing I'm going to leave you all with is a reminder to actively show your kids you support them. And this is really, really easy to do when things are going well, and it's really hard to do it when they need it the most, when things aren't going as well. And I know that's not always easy. My mom was always focused on our survival as kids, meaning her efforts were focused on putting food on the table and making sure we had a roof over our head. And though we all know it's the easiest way to show a kid that you love them, right, by feeding them and giving them a home, for some reason when you're a kid, you expect that those things are part of your parents' job description. Now that most of us are older, though, we look back and we appreciate it. And your kids are ultimately going to do the same thing, too. But in the meantime, I know for me, I wish my mom showed up to more of my sports games, or had gone to more of my parent-teacher conferences, or just listened to me when I needed to talk. And most importantly, continue to do those things when my brothers and I disappointed her. Because after all, we were kids. We were bound to do that at some point. We cut school, we made bad decisions, and we fell off track. And to be frank with you all, your kids are going to do the same exact thing. And when that happens, you guys have two options. One, you can give up on them and kick them out of your house like so many of the kids' parents I went to school with. Or you can love and support them like so many of the parents of my better off friends who I went to college with. You can assure them that you're not going to give up on them, and they shouldn't give up on themselves. I've used that same technique with my younger siblings. When my younger brother, when he was chronically absent, with my younger sister when she was ready to give up on school, my other siblings when they were borderline depressed, and I'm certain they're going to use the same exact techniques on me when I need them to pick me up. In closing, I want to leave you guys with one of my favorite quotes, and this is particularly for the graduating class. You guys all know who Ben Franklin is? So Ben Franklin once said, "An investment in knowledge pays the best interest." Take your education seriously, and you and your family will reap the dividends for the rest of your lives. Thank you, Principal Perdomo, for the invitation to address you all today. Congratulations to the graduating class of 2016. And God bless you all. Thank you, guys.